But you saw that there were some recent developments.
There was some very recent. So since this is a podcast and a teacher podcast, kind of at that, this is our teacher talk. So we're going to go ahead and make it about that.
Your least favorite.
I know.
Look at you just justifying teacher talk. So because this is teacher talk, we're going to tell you about another teacher podcast that is so polar opposite to what everything we believe in.
Right. And okay, so let's clarify. This podcast was not a teacher podcast. It was a podcast about white nationalism, run by a teacher was a host.
So this is our elephant in the room.
The
correct?
elephant in the room is Diana Voletich, 25-year-old social studies teacher from Crystal River Middle School in Crystal River, Florida, was removed from her teaching job because she got exposed for running this white nationalist podcast called Unapologetic. So they basically found out that she had been an alias and was spewing hate on the internet and basically was like promoting other white nationalists who... Oh, girl, this is...
That scared me.
Pause. Okay, so on the internet, she was represented as this other name, Tiana Delochov, but used the same picture, girl. So on the internet, she used the same face that was on the school website.
She think folks stupid.
Changed up a couple of letters on the name.
They'll
and wanted
never
to go ahead
find
and
me here.
spew hate. And basically was saying that she's been giving truth in the classroom and wanted to make sure that she was sharing the real truth to her students, her middle school students. And you probably know, I'm sure you know better than me, that they are so impressionable at the middle school level.
They are, and they pick up on that shady stuff too. But so I just wonder who her students are. Like, what type of school is it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's in this article, but I thought I read somewhere else that it was majority white student population.
Oh, okay.
And so she basically was, a teacher there, and she was under the guise of this other thing. So I guess she was living a double life with her pseudonym, and her real views were being given over the internet. And she also, she just posted a bunch of stuff, just being extra on the internet. There's one video that she posted, it's a 37-minute video about the Georgia high school teacher that fired the gun in the school right after. And she was just like, she thought he was a lifetime liberal teacher that was trying to prevent arming of educators. So she was talking about that act of violence or that act of whatever as just like showing out and trying to bring more attention to the gun violence or the removal of guns in the school. And so the fact that she even was addressing it was weird. That was very recent. And I feel like in October, they exposed her for having this internet. So her podcast came off the internet. Her Twitter went down because people have tried to look for her and they can't find it anymore. But there's screenshots of the stuff that she was tweeting, and it was stuff like, I think it was more so racism doesn't exist, white supremacy doesn't exist. Why are we focusing on race when we should be focusing on everybody and no jobs? All the whole white supremacist situation. Let me see. I think that was about it. But this kind of hit home to me because teachers are able to have other lives.
Yes.
And, but I think there's an extent to how you should be living your life outside of the classroom.
The fact that she knew enough that the students in her classroom are definitely impressionable, and she wants to try to infiltrate their little minds with little seeds of hate.
Yeah, and encouraging her listeners to become teachers so that they can have, more people to expose racism.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. That goes to show that teaching is very powerful, and people can use their powers for good or evil. My mind goes to the whole...
Are you eating on the podcast?
Girl, I got hungry all of a sudden.
Oh my gosh.
My mind goes to who is going to be the gatekeeper. My concern is who's going to be the gatekeeper to recognize if this type of thing is happening around their building.
And how can you even, when you interview, you can't, I don't even know how you would know. I mean, besides the fact that her face is on the internet or whatever, but let's say you don't have a podcast that spews hate. Let's say you just have it in your living room or, in your heart. And then you interview for this position because you went to college and you're a teacher. Now you're in the classroom. There's no way to filter that through. There's no measurement for racism in people.
Well, there are things that I look for in an interview process. I'm not even going to lie.
Like what?
If the interviewee is not... If an interviewee can't look at me in my eyes and look at me in my face and they're not paying attention to me around the table, because normally I'm the only brown person in the room.
Right.
And I'm the assistant principal, and you know who I am when you come in the door. If you can't pay me, if you can't address or speak to me, I know you won't be able, usually you're not going to be able to interact with students that look like me. That's something that I pay attention to. I always ask, where have you been outside of Georgia? I actually asked that just personally, and I guess it could be Florida. I don't know what the question would be for that, but I'm just talking about for me.
Yeah.
I asked them what type of students they were as a kid. I've come up with, over the years, a little arsenal of questions to ask to try to get to the heart of a person in 30 minutes to an hour.
Right. You can also, I'm big on reading, but everybody is not going to be like you or me in an interview, being able to read if someone's comfortable, if they're sweating, if they're looking from side to side, all the language that's showing you're not comfortable here. Yeah. You can see it.
You can absolutely
but
see it.
There's no rubric for it. So if you don't have those eyes and you're just like, give me, I need a teacher.
Yeah.
Because we have so many teachers. And the sad part is the likelihood of a teacher like that landing in a school of high need is very high.
Oh, yeah.
Because new teachers, the first place they may land is a school of high need because that's where they're needed. Other schools will already have their teachers there. They may have 1 or 2 positions open.
Right. People aren't moving.
They're not moving. So literally, especially in those high need areas, they probably need to be a little more careful about who they're inviting into these schools and who they're inviting to be influencers. Because, you don't have to be a white supremacist to have your own issues with race.
Absolutely.
Everybody has issues with race.
Yeah.
I've shared earlier about my discomfort in the white savior issue or whatever. That's my own issues, racial issues that I'm working through. But that doesn't mean I'm the only one that has those. There's plenty of people of all races that have their own misconceptions, their own ideas, and their own foundational upbringings about race.
And beliefs, yeah.
That we don't need you to be a white supremacist. That's just extreme. If you're just a regular person, you're coming with that already. If you're not comfortable with differences, that's a problem.
Period. Differences. Period.
So,
you trying to sing?
That was in the song. You'll know it if I try to sing.
That's a mess, though.
Hot mess, girl.
In a time where you're trying to promote love and in a time where hate is definitely projected throughout, the fact that a teacher's sole purpose was to teach. How are we ever going to get beyond this? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's my only question.
Meanwhile, there's been other shootings and whatnot going on in the school. There was one in, where was that? Maryland. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah. And since then, there's just been other issues with guns and violence, and we just gotta pray for this country, and we have to take action where we can with voting and with local state representatives to enforce as much as we can.
And don't just complain about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if your heart is to help schools,
right,
offer your help.
Yeah.
Like, don't just bash the people who are in the building who are trying their best to educate your children and be counselors for them, and then be emotionally available, and then uphold these parameters and things that we're asking them to do. Like, just come and volunteer your time. You could make a difference.
Yeah, there was, and this, I forgot to tell you, this story happened today. It just came to my mind. So we have advisement now, not homeroom. And where we just, they say it's a requirement. I think we get to go through each student, talk to each student in our homeroom in our advisement. And so I was going through, I do like 5 every week. So goals, what's going on, where are your grades, what do you want to do, what do you need to do to move on with us next year and be sophomores, all that kind of stuff.
I like that.
So one of the students sits down, and we have their transcripts in front, so it's like, what happened last semester, what's going on? So I just didn't come to school a lot, and I'm like, I see that you passed your EOC, but you got a 33 in the class. What's up with that? I just wasn't there. Why are you not there? Oh, there was a lot. I'm like, was there bullying? I just don't like the people in school. Okay, I get it. And I feel like deep down, maybe he might be dealing with homosexuality or some differences. Not quite sure. He wasn't going to say that just in our little minute talk.
Right.
But, so then, eventually it turns into, I moved here in 6th grade. Then there was a lot of bullying in middle school. And then my mom got a different job, so she wasn't checking for me to come to school. So I just stopped coming. Then I realized that if I didn't come, no one cared. Then I started feeling like I was invisible.
These conversations, girl.
I was like, oh, gosh.
All of this is so real.
And I said, so what do you mean? He was like, if I came to school, if I didn't, it didn't matter. No one was seeing me anyway. So I just felt like, why go? And I was like, oh my gosh, I see you. And like, we need to get you in a club. So Making Change Men is a club, and my coworker is running it. So we immediately got him hooked up with a mentor program, because I was like, you just need an anchor in the school. Like, and then of course he's like, I'm motivated this semester because all of his brothers and sisters above him dropped out already. His sister dropped out last semester. So he was like, my mom says I'm the last one, so I need to hurry. I need to graduate. So now I'm motivated. And I'm like, but you got to do more than just pass. Like, you can't just be existing, coming and going.
Right.
What are you doing? I like to watch TV. And that's it. No video games, no sports, no nothing. I was like, okay, so the goal is, yes, pass your classes, but the goal is to get into a club, get you involved in something. Because what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a proven fact that kids who are involved in clubs or extracurricular activities graduate high school more often. And
his whole demeanor changed. Like, he was like, the idea that someone is trying to help him, and he's not a behavior issue.
Right.
So a lot of behavior issues get attention because that's how they get their attention.
Yep.
But he was just one of those very quiet little Hispanic boy. Like, he just was coming or going or whatever, but I don't know that anyone ever really I can tell you that no one ever sat down and talked to him about what was going on. Why aren't you coming to school? You know what I mean? In